here she comes. She's a rat eater. Welcome to Duderonomy. I'm Dan.
You just had to go there, didn't you? You just had to dig into my absolute cockles of my favorite band of all time. I'm Bryan.
And in this episode, April gets turned into a cat mutant, and that's about all that makes sense.
Welcome to Duderonomy. Today we're looking at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Season 2, Episode 12 of the original 1987 Fred Wolf animation series, The Catwoman from Channel 6. Original air date December 17th, 1988. And that makes it the one-year anniversary of the premiere of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as an animated series, which I think is the most exciting thing that we can announce in today's episode.
You know, I thought you would enjoy that intro.
I did, but I'm also a little mad about it because it's still a fresh wound. Today's episode is directed by Bill Wolf, and we have a return from writer Richard Merwin, who wrote New York's Shiniest, the previous episode with the cyber cop, which I fucking loved.
Yeah.
And then something happened here.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Maybe the first episode didn't give him an opportunity to say what he thinks about foreigners and women, but this one did. I don't know.
Yep. Okay, we are going to dive right in. By the way, this is another shifter episode, so we're watching a little bit out of order. We mentioned this a couple episodes ago, how we're watching them as they've been digitally re-released versus how they were chronologically released on TV. So this one actually is supposed to land right after Teenagers from Dimension X, which would have followed New York's Shiniest, but instead Teenagers happened a couple episodes ago, and we're dovetailing off of New York's Shiniest, just for clarification, so that we're not, no discrepancy in why we're watching this in this placement.
This would have made much more sense as a filler episode if it weren't, to us, the second to last episode of the season.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it good.
No, it's very unfortunate, and we will get into it. Let's open up this episode. We've got Splinter. He's meditating and minding his own business, which pretty much is his entire MO. He's met with growls and screams off camera because, lo and behold, our boys are watching another monster movie, and I'm just going to stop right there. We cannot overstate how much influence from monster movies and classic horror these writers take on the regular for the Ninja Turtle series.
For sure.
I don't think we've emphasized this enough. There's so much love that oozes from every crack, from the introductions to mutants and monsters to the cliffhanger conflicts. Like, even a lot of the titling sounds like old matinee film reel stuff. I mean, like, just look at the Baxter episode. It's clearly a love letter to The Fly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, seeing the intro to this episode, like, at least the first, I'm going to come off a little bit hard on this one. I'm just going to let everybody know right off the top, but I do want to start pretty positive. And, just the opening where we cut to this movie, I thought we were in for a good episode, because a lot of the episodes that do start off with these, monster movie references tend to be pretty solid.
But then...
Yeah, and almost immediately.
I mean, even the Catwoman from Channel 6 just sounds like a Sunday afternoon matinee show that you would have caught on, AMC or something.
Yeah, it's a B-movie, horror, science fiction kind of thing. They got the framing device down, I think, at least.
Pure trope. Unfortunately, they do not deliver on substance.
No, they don't. There is a really funny moment here where, Splinter comes into the TV room and is like, hey, you shouldn't watch too much TV, Turtles, because too much TV can warp the mind and promote violence, which is funny for two reasons to me. One being that, this was obviously, the show itself was getting a lot of this kind of treatment at the time, Parents were clutching pearls, worried about their children wanting to become ninjas, and, martial arts memberships skyrocketed during Turtle Mania.
I mean, my notes just say, fuck you, moms of America.
Yeah, so it is a little bit lampshading the criticisms that they were getting, which is fun. And then the second thing is, hey, Splinter, you trained a bunch of children to be ninjas. Kettle calling the pot black much?
Yeah, you have a point, but it's all downhill from here.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's weird because we get this intro and then it just cuts right to Shredder, Bebop, and Rocksteady for like there was no reason for the beginning of the episode. There was no setup. It was just like, what are the turtles doing? I guess they're watching TV. Let's cut to the bad guys.
They're minding their fucking business.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna try to find the positives in this one, but Front Street. This is the first one I've got done with, and was like, oh, I could have done without that. Before we move forward, I do want to back up just a smidge and point out that the Turtles are watching a movie called The Slime Monster That Ate Cleveland.
Yeah.
And I morbid curiosity, I had to go look it up. Not a lot of movies set in Cleveland, Ohio. Go figure. Ghost in the Machine, which I have mentioned before in this podcast. It's a horror movie that's like kind of Lawnmower Man, but he's trapped in the internet, and everything with a remote LED light can come to life and kill you. Also, Raging Bull has moments in Cleveland. Howard the Duck. There is a documentary called The Cleveland Abduction. Technically, Almost Famous has a moment in Cleveland when Stillwater is on tour. And then probably the most notorious movie from Cleveland is called The O in Ohio, which is a rom-com starring Paul Rudd from the early 2000s, because of course it is. In our next scene, the Shredder is in a lab that doesn't appear to be a dilapidated shack in the Brooklyn Navy Yard for once.
Yeah, what the hell?
Don't worry. We'll back up on that one, too. He's developed or either received a device from Krang. We never really clarify.
It said later in the episode, actually.
Oh, it does. Oh, Krang made it?
Yeah, it's Krang made it, and we only find out about that because Shredder calls Krang to bitch about how it malfunctioned.
Oh, you're right. But in either way, his new device is a matter transporter, a teleporter, a transmat, if you will.
Yeah.
Transporting of physical items via particle transmission over the air. It's Wonka vision.
You should open your mouth a little wider when you speak.
And to prove that the transport works, he sends Bebop and Rocksteady to the dump. And in their confusion, they wonder if now they're at a...
Maybe it's one of them Nouvelle Cuisine restaurants.
And holy cow, the field day they could have with this joke now amongst all the goofy-ass artisan deconstructed bullshit you can buy at a restaurant in Williamsburg? Come on.
Oh, for sure. That is... Man, hopefully we get a revisit to that joke in whatever next iteration we get of the Turtles.
Fingers crossed. Bebop and Rocksteady go on a ride down a garbage chute, and we cut back to the sewer.
Can we just point out how, like, the New York City waste disposal is just throwing trash in the sewers?
That they just have, like, slip and slides underground where trash go?
Yeah. And it leads, like, right to the Turtles' lair.
Okay, we don't know this yet, and I just want to cite that because what an epic reveal this was. Like, we cut back to the sewer lair, Turtles are still watching TV, scarfing pizza while the slime monster scarfs Ohioans. I thought that cutaway from Bebop and Rocksteady as they're, like, falling into the depths of the earth was very abrupt, but that's because they washed up in the lair. Just like casually, off camera, off screen, it super caught me off guard. Like they're just watching TV, totally unassuming, and then Bebop and Rocksteady just pop up from their kitchen? What would you do in that scenario?
Yeah, they just turned the corner and they're like, oh, hey, it's the Turtles. Like,
oh, hey, it's Bebop and Rocksteady. I guess we should fight.
Right. It's so random. And like, I think this is one of the many problems that I have with this episode is that there doesn't seem to be any continuity at all. Like,
no,
I'm okay with things not making sense. It's a kid's show. Not everything has to make like one-to-one sense. But like, so New York City disposes of its garbage by throwing it down into the sewer. And that's apparently close enough to the Turtles' lair. And they're not inundated in trash all the time.
It just goes to prove that the writers of the show's negative perception in New York is not just at street level. Everything about the infrastructure is also at risk.
That's true.
So Bebop and Rocksteady attack. It's a pretty good fight. Got some classic name calling, tusk teeth, wart breath. And then Leo and Donnie team up to smash Rocksteady's face into the wall, getting his rhinoceros horn stuck in the bricks. Well, I thought was excellent. And then tragedy strikes. Bebop swings for the fences and obliterates their television, which everyone knows is the lifeblood of all teenagers.
Oh no! He's turned our TV set into a vast wasteland.
This time he's gone too far.
They are so pissed. They beat the shit out of him.
They're more mad about their TV being destroyed than they were about their father being turned into a rat. So they're all devastated. It's not like they have TVs in every room or anything, sometimes mounted to the wall, let alone a brother who can retrofit an Android with TV parts. Let's just move on beyond that.
Yep.
I find it funny that it's Leo who says that he's gone too far. When Bebop bashes to the TV, Leo's way more pissed off. Felt like that was more of a Mikey moment. And then I kind of start drawing the lines between some of the other iterations of Turtles, and like in the 2012 series, CG series, Leo is a big like TV nerd. He's like a Star Trek nerd. He's a Trekkie.
And in Rise, they're big TV fans. There's a whole like plot point around the movies that they watch.
All of them like they're teenagers. They love movies. That's just an easy established trope. But to have Leo, who's, Mr. Serious, be the one who's like, you fucked up my TV. This felt funny.
Yeah. No, it's a great moment for him. There's also 2 animation errors in this fight scene. So there's one where Bebop and Rocksteady pull out those wooden training swords. But when it cuts to Bebop breaking the table, it's a club instead.
Why do they have those, by the way?
My guess is that Shredder probably doesn't trust them with real blades.
Neither would I, but they've had guns in the past. In fact, they still possess guns.
I don't know. Also, Rocksteady has a grenade on his belt. He doesn't use that at all.
But no, let's hit stuff with wooden sticks.
And then, like, immediately after that, when after Raph gets his size knocked out of his hands by Bebop, he makes a crack about it being beginner's luck, but he's wearing orange instead of red. It's coming out of Mikey's body.
Ooh, I missed that one. Good catch.
Thank you.
Anyways, the TMNT dog pile on Bebop and Rocksteady. Turtle pile?
Yeah.
Rocksteady gets free, and Mikey uses the reverse like kangaroo kick move from the Manhattan Project NES game to smash his face back into the fucking wall.
There you go.
That's hands down the highlight of the entire episode, is just like, face smash. Elsewhere, the Shredder is still tinkering with the transmat, and a stray cat wanders into the lab.
Scat.
I absolutely take back what I said about him not being in a shithole lab. The cat jumps up on the console, which then yanks Bebop and Rocksteady back because he pushed some buttons. And I, for one, am counting this in headcanon as the 1987 series appearance of Clunk.
Okay.
That is a deep Dark Horse character pull for me. Don't at me. I love that cat. It's one of the best parts of the Mirage comics. And can we just take a second to appreciate some of these older visual effects and hand-drawn animation? Like everything in modern, even when they are still working in hand-drawn and not purely CG, can be either altered or polished by CG effects. And that's great. Like I keep saying, the best version of Turtles we can get is Jim Henson rubber suits with where the wild things are CG mouths, right?
Okay, yeah.
It would that'd be the perfect marriage. But the portal effect in 1987, when Shredder uses a transmat, it's just like somebody filmed like a layer of someone hitting their shower curtain with colored LEDs and then composite that in, and it like that like prismy effect is just it's so
it's
good.
Real
it
cool.
Looks so. I love that classic look. It is essential to like, I don't know, the 80s aesthetic, I think.
It is a really great visual. I will give you that. It is like weirdly bookended by this. Well, I guess not bookended because it's sandwiched in between when they get teleported out of the turtle lair and when they appear back in Shredder's hideout. There's this moment where the turtles are freaked out because like they got vaporized. Where'd they go? And Splinter just like pops his head in and is like, I'm glad you turned the TV down, and then walks away. Like, dude, what the hell? How did you miss that whole fight?
He was busy watching his own stories in the other room on the TV that Donnie forgot that they had.
Right, yeah, because they need April to get a whole nother one, but we'll get to that.
Bebop and Rocksteady are trying to explain to Shredder how they accidentally found the sewer layer.
Okay, this is another thing that bothers me.
Here we go.
Because Bebop and Rocksteady get teleported back safely. You'd think it would get messed up because of the cat, but no, everything's cool. They report to Shredder about finding the turtle's hiding place, which Shredder is like, you know where it is? Tell me the exact location. Like, you've been there. You transmit the messages regularly. How do you not know where it is anymore? They haven't moved.
Shredder is very irresponsible with his social media presence. But yeah, they're like Bebop and Rocksteady are like, oh, we went this way and we went that way. We went left or was it right? Down, then maybe up. And then I'm going to go ahead and pass this one to you. Please give me your very best James Avery Shredder.
The line that he says after that?
Yes.
I forgot. Thank you for bringing that line up. It's so good. He just comes out with a silence.
And then they just give up.
Yeah, he just walks away. Serves me right for using cheap mutant labor.
Oh, I mean, that's kind of a racist statement in itself, isn't it?
And it won't be the last one.
All right, back to the Turtles. They are lamenting their fallen comrade, Mr. Television. But wait, let's call Mom. So April's in the middle of a report announcing the winner of the Fat Cabbies contest up on street level.
What a great concept for a contest.
I mean, is it though?
No, obviously.
I thought you were serious for a second.
It's such like a typical, like, how many news reporter characters have to go through like the degrading quote unquote human interest piece? What human is interested in this piece?
For one, no. I mean, no one. Your point is made, but everybody in journalism has to go through that gatekeeping.
That's fair, but like, I mean, I can't think of a single time that like Clark Kent got saddled with that kind of a thing in stories. It's always like Lois or April or some other, like Iris West character that has the human interest piece angle. It's like, oh, come on.
That's because Superman ducks first. Like, he's got way better intuition, so when something's going south, he's out of there before the cameras even roll. April, consummate professional.
There you go.
Always finishes the story.
And she did finish this, even though that guy like burped in her face.
Who? Myron Bimbleton?
Yeah. What a name.
The winner of the contest is Myron Bimbleton. He takes the gold, and April asks him what his secret to success is. He says,
Chili burgers and onions. Lots of onions.
What a just tired joke.
Okay, maybe, but Dan, do you sit and try to figure out who the extras are voiced by too? Because I had to figure out who Myron was. It was such a distinct voice. It's just like, okay, that's not just an extra. It's Peter Renaday. It's Splinter. Doing the voice of this fat cabbie. Also, in the process of this, for the first time in my life, I realized that the voice actor for Splinter is also the voice actor for Vernon.
I did not know that.
Right?
That comes as a huge surprise to me.
That blew my mind. I had no idea. Yo, Renaday is amazing. Okay, he's still going. I really love looking at the pedigrees of some of these voice actors and how long their careers have gone on. So, Renaday has done a ton of video games, like Marvel games. He's done Ultimate Alliance. He played Namor. He did some Assassin's Creed. He was in Halo Wars. He played M from Russia with Love, the James Bond game.
Huh.
He's done some extra voices in the Timverse, the DC animated universe, Justice League, Batman, Superman. He played Grandmaster Tanzang in Samurai Jack. He's the narrator in one of my favorite animated movies of all time, Cats Don't Dance. He appeared in Odd Couple 2, which is an underrated movie. He was in Ben 10. He's been in some Star Wars stuff. And then I think, honestly, the cherry on top is in Batman, the Brave and the Bold, the animated series from 2013 or something like that.
Yeah.
He played Abraham Lincoln and Uncle Sam.
There you go.
I couldn't imagine a more perfect outcome. With that regal voice, are you kidding me?
I'm just picturing Vernon as Abraham Lincoln.
Really not far off as much as appearance goes. So April is still all hating on doing the fluff pieces that she keeps getting assigned to. She's off in a huff after the report. Vernon is all dismissive.
Yep.
She takes a call from the Turtles behind the news van, and they get her into the sewer under false pretenses that she can get a big story about giant alligators. But really, they just snooker her into bringing down a tiny portable TV so they can watch the movie about alligators.
Real boy who cried giant alligator here for the future.
Real spent your wad before Leatherhead kind of.
Right? Yeah, she's not going to believe him when Leatherhead comes around.
She goes down to the sewer, observes the damage from Bebop and Rocksteady, and asks if World War III happened down here. And I'd say that that's a few steps back from World War XI that she referenced about 10 episodes ago. Character growth.
I got to say, I appreciate that April is just fucking pissed.
She should be. She should be.
Like she was pissed at the news story. Again, she should be. And then she thinks the Turtles are like, yes, all right, a real story. I'm going to head down to my friends and they're going to give me a new lead like they've done 16 times before. And it's like, oh no, you just wanted me for my television. Good for you, April.
I mean, they probably rescued that television in the last episode when those robbers tried to steal it, so.
That's fair. Got it right up back off the street.
April is stunned to learn that the Shredder's team has infiltrated the lair and says it's the best kept secret in the city. One.
No, it's not.
That's false. That designation either goes to St. Tuesday's Speakeasy Pub in the Lower East Side or Sal, Chris, and Charlie's Sandwiches in Queens. Don't fucking at me. Cats ain't got shit. Number 2. We could spend all night here talking about their lack of security. From no locks, no tech. Splinter just throws the fucking door open when somebody knocks. And they brand everything they touch.
It's true. Ah, man.
The sewer lair is about as secret as the Statue of Liberty at this point. But anyways, they discovered Bebop and Rocksteady had leftover Chinese takeout that landed in the lair, and April decides to go investigate this place on the box.
I just got one more thing from this scene.
Go for it.
So, April, you mentioned that April asked, like, whoa, what happened here? Because the whole lair is still messed up, right?
Yep.
It's messed up from the fight. The Turtles don't care. They're watching the TV that April brought. In fact, they are watching the TV the entire time that April and Splinter are having a conversation. They cannot peel their eyes off of it.
They are the kids in the room.
And she's like, oh, man, what happened here? And Splinter is like, I'm pretty sure Shredder must be able to transport matter.
Pretty sure.
Like, not a one-to-one quote by any stretch, but Splinter did not see Bebop and Rocksteady. He missed the entire fight, made a bad joke about the Turtles turning down the movie, and then walked out of the room again, and then just randomly correctly guesses that Shredder must be able to transport matter. My mom can't figure out her cell phone, but this old rat can deduce matter transportation.
I think this is a immediate tell when we're going into an episode, when the contrivance is so deep that a third party who didn't even witness a given event that is the apex of the plot of the story can come in and give immediate feedback as to how to solve the problem. Yeah, that's, I mean, it's a trope, yes, but boy, did they get it down to a science in this show. I'm just, in the sheer facet of having two wise old ninja masters on either side of good and evil, they always have the right answers. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are. It's just, oh, this harkens back to my ancient training. Got it.
I just love that they're like, well, Splinter has to be wise, so they just made him omnipotent.
So as far as your perspective on Splinter goes, we don't need to go too deep into this. 87 set the precedent for me, right? Splinter is wise, he is calm, he stays at home, he only gets involved when he needs to. It's the epitome of like Ninja Master. Then you get into stuff like 2012 where he's a little more active and he's willing to get up street level on his feet to rescue his sons. You know, where does Splinter land for you on that spectrum as far as your own internalization?
Like, which one do I like the most, or like which kind of version do I like the most?
Yeah, which version of Splinter? Like, quiet man in the chair or Frontlines?
So my preference is the 2012/IDW comics.
That one feels so much more like a Professor X to me, from X-Men, where Professor X, like, we also know him from the animated series as being infallible almost, right? He's a leader.
Yeah.
But in the comics, he's broken. He's flawed. And Splinter is also flawed. He's a dad doing his best.
Yeah. Those are the ones that really stand out for me personally. Like, I think we've talked about this early on in some of our episodes. We'll definitely talk about it again, but I love the ones that really lean into, like, Splinter as a single dad, as, like, a guy trying to do his best for his family. And
that doesn't always pan out.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Like, he makes mistakes. He's not infallible. He is trying to do the best that he can, knowing that he has this, like, ancient vengeance.
Yeah.
I mean, like, 2012, like, kind of leaned into that, didn't go super far. I feel like the IDW ones does a really great job. Again, I mean, I've said this like a million times, but IDW does a great job of just balancing all of the different interpretations of the Turtles into, like, one cohesive version. And I really love Splinter there, where he's just like, he's like the revenge obsessed Splinter of the original comics, while still being, like, a wise master, like a good sensei, while still being, like, capable of making mistakes, and sometimes blurring that line between, like, does he recognize the Turtles as his sons, or does he recognize them as students who he is, training for a mission, and they have to go out and complete the mission, and that's all that matters. Like,
and where does that line happen?
Exactly, yeah. Like, when we get to that, if we get to that, we'll go into, like, far more detail. I don't want to do, like, spoilers for that or anything, but, like, that's my, like, preference, because he feels like more of a three-dimensional character than just the 87, where he's like, he stays at home, he always knows what the problem is, he knows how to solve it, he's always right.
I'm with you, though. I prefer flawed Splinter a little bit more, like the guy who's just doing his best. And for what it's worth, as we are here in recording at the end of January, in the year of our Lord 2023, there's some really interesting stuff coming up for those who are familiar, IDW is publishing a series called The Last Ronin. Past tense, they published The Last Ronin. Now there's The Last Ronin, The Lost Years, which covers stuff at the end of the Turtle legacy.
Well, in the Ronin verse, they've come out and said that
it's a multiverse.
Yeah. It's its own thing. It's not definitely how the IDW run will end or something like that.
I just want to tag it because you and I are going to continually plug IDW just for its excellent writing.
Yeah.
There is some really interesting stuff that they've put out on Front Street with Splinter in The Last Ronin, The Lost Years issue 1. I don't know if you've caught up there yet.
I haven't. I have a lot of the comics that I need to catch up on right now.
There's some really dense, great human character building for Splinter, and I'm just going to leave it there.
All right.
So anyways, back to what we were focusing on, this fucking TV episode. They discover that Bebop and Rocksteady had some Chinese takeout that got knocked over while they infiltrated the lair. April decides to go investigate the place on the box. It's called Wu's Oriental Palace, okay?
Yikes.
It's not that bad.
No, I know.
It'll get worse.
It gets worse.
The TMNT don't want her going unchaperoned because the place is apparently sketchy.
And the food's bad.
And the food's bad. Have you ever eaten at a place like that?
Like a sketchy place where the food's bad?
Well, I mean, that's a very broad concept. But I mean, is there any places notable that you've been to that you're like, oh shit, I need to get out of here, I might die?
No, I mean, like, I've been to some sketchy places, but never where I feared for my life.
Albany, 2003. I was in town playing with a angry rock band that I was a part of at the time, and we went to the Chinese place at the corner at the end of the block, and while we were walking up, we saw some of the restaurateurs out back in the parking lot. beating a garbage bag.
Oh.
A full garbage bag, just beating the shit out of it with bats. It was filled with rice.
Yeah.
That they were holding in a garbage can in the garbage bag that they then brought into the restaurant and served to the patrons. Also, wall was filled with bullet holes. That's my Wu's Oriental Palace story.
Yeah. Yeah. You witnessed a murder.
I think we were there like 3 days after there was a drive-by shooting reported. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were sleeping in an apartment on the same block, so that building also had bullet holes in it.
That's like the time I went for a walk in a nearby state park with my wife, and this is on Long Island, not where I'm currently living. And as we were walking through like the path, just off the path of this state park, like a normal place people are supposed to walk by here, there was just like a rolled up carpet out in the middle of the woods. And I was like, that's a body. We just kept walking.
That would be a good Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle story. Finding a body in Central Park or something.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like, if I was a kid, that's just Stand By Me.
Yeah. Back at Wu's, April enters and immediately calls it a dive, bro. Okay, huge open floor plan. Every seat is occupied, multiple bars, clean services, no rodents, and a skilled staff. This is not a dive.
Yeah.
That place is massive.
I just, like, it is funny to me that, like, the turtles call out the place for being like, oh, it's a bad place, and also the food is bad. And they stress both of those points multiple times in this very short episode. It's
based on smell.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie, Brian. Everything about this segment in this show in this restaurant bothers me.
Okay. It's insensitive and it's broken, but just at a glance, if you mute the thing and look at the restaurant, it's not a bad restaurant.
Oh, no, it's a clean restaurant. That's not what bothers me.
It's everything else.
What bothers me is that it is Wu's Oriental Palace. The boxes that Rocksteady and Bebop were eating out of suggest it's a Chinese restaurant. And yet when you get to the restaurant, there are sumo wrestlers and judo practitioners and
vaguely Asian.
It's just vaguely Asian. Exactly.
You're right.
There was like no effort put in whatsoever. There's just a guy behind the counter with a butcher's knife, and he's being vaguely threatening to April for no reason besides the fact that she's a reporter. And they're like, we don't like nosy reporters, except with a really, really bad Asian accent.
Yeah. All right. I'm not going to defend this, but I will ask critically. As a child, how much did this resonate?
I do not remember this episode as a child.
Okay. As a child, and I'm projecting here, I feel like this would be just as interesting because there are different cultures, period. At 5 years old, I didn't know a lot of difference between Chinese, Japanese, anything in between. So
yeah,
it was still
we're
kind
white.
of we're white. We're 30 years old, and we've been through the ringer as far as like social justice goes. We get it. This shit's wrong. But as a kid, I kind of want to give it a similar argument that I gave to Rise of the TMNT, where it's like, oh, they introduced a bunch of different species of turtles. As a kid, I'm immediately intrigued by this, and as a kid, I was immediately intrigued by Asian culture. Granted, they gave it to me in the most vanilla format, but I don't think I would have an appreciation for it if things like Ninja Turtles didn't lazily kind of elbow me with it in the early days.
I totally understand where you're coming from, but I also want to point out for like our audience, like as adults rewatching this show and trying to be responsible about it, that as white kids, yeah, I mean, it had I will say that I think it had, like, this show as a whole, maybe not this scene, but the Turtles as a whole, like, I certainly have an interest and an appreciation for many different Asian cultures that stemmed out of interest that came from my love of the Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
And I think that can be a positive thing.
Yeah.
However, if there were, and there were, just by virtue of the fact of how popular the Turtles were at the time, there were Chinese kids and Japanese kids and Filipino kids and all different kinds of kids who come from all walks of life in Asia who maybe saw this episode and were like, what the F is this?
Yeah, it's insensitive as hell. It really is in retrospect. And I'm not going to forgive it, and I'm not defending it. And you wouldn't be caught dead doing something like that today. But in context,
it is real rough.
It's super rough, but my own personal journey brought me down that path, and I went, oh, that's neat. And I've only expanded on it since. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back with that one. I'm just making it kind of a dialogue and conversational. Again,
yeah,
not
I understand.
a defense.
I just don't want to walk away from this scene, and
no.
particularly this episode, because there's a lot of red flags in this episode.
Oh, absolutely. I just want to emphasize that this is at a point in history, and that you and I, and hopefully many others, has progressed since then.
Yeah. I mean, and certainly the franchise itself has progressed and shown much more appreciation for the culture that they were, quite frankly, aping at the time.
Oh, undoubtedly. I mean, look at all of the terminology that they've brought to the lexicon as time is going on. Bushido, Ronin, Chunin, all this other stuff. I'm still learning stuff about Asian culture from the Ninja Turtles, which sounds so goofy to say out loud.
Absolutely. And I yes, I don't want to harp on this. There's a lot more to harp on in this episode.
It gets worse.
But this is right up there. This is real bad. Luckily, as we're saying, the franchise as a whole has gotten a lot better.
Yeah. All right, back to the plot. April kicks in the door full Western style. She walks in. She says she's a reporter, and a hush falls. She cons her way out of this by posing as a food critic, and then gets pointed towards the warehouse that Bebop and Rocksteady came from. That's great investigation journalism. I
mean, nice thinking on your feet, at least.
Yeah.
April's a good reporter. I'm not trying to lampshade that. She's a good reporter.
She's better than her pay grade. That's the difference between her and a Clark Kent. Clark Kent gets paid and he delivers and everyone's happy with his work until he disappears. April gets the shit job and still shines.
Yeah, April is shining when she is not the person responsible for solving the things that she's investigating.
True. I'm not saying she's a cop. Saying,
Clark can go out and do whatever the hell he wants and get the good story because he's Superman and he's going to stop whatever's happening. Or like Spider-Man taking pictures of himself to sell to the Daily Bugle. April's actually out there risking her life for this stuff.
That's true. That's something we should really point at. Like Clark Kent, Peter Parker, all the other various journalists, reporters, whatever in pop culture, they got it easy compared to April. She's really doing the grind. And I mean that. That's not a joke. Like, we're going to laugh at it, but that's not a joke. April had a way worse professional position than the rest of these chumps.
And this is particularly interesting for me, I think, because April was not originally a reporter.
Right. And
this is one of those. How many other versions of the Turtles is she actively a news reporter?
Archie. That's it.
Yeah. Not 2K3. Not 2012.
Not Rise.
She's training to be one in Rise as a high schooler.
There've been more than a few nods at her like having reporter tendencies, like being investigative and just being inquisitive.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the only time she's holding a microphone and a camera and doing reports.
Besides the movie.
All right, so let's cut back to our villains. Shredder continues to fail to lock his fucking doors because April wanders in.
But they're nowhere to be found, though. That's like the craziest thing. Like, where are they?
Yeah, Shredder has like walked away from his little experiment here for no good reason at all. The room is empty, and April just kind of like steps up on the transmat to take photos.
Maybe not the best choice.
All right, so a stray cat has wandered in. It's the same cat from before, and it starts fucking with buttons, and it steps on the platform, and the lights go off, and then it bolts, and April's left wondering why she's growing claws before the commercial break. So, spoilers, we're gonna mutate April finally.
I love this cat because it just messes up everyone's day.
It feels as Clunk would do.
Exactly. But everybody's reaction to the cat in this episode, besides Donnie, is so funny because everyone's like, "Scat, get away, cat!" No one wants to interact with it. They just want to like throw their hands at it. It's it's funny.
Do you think the writers hate or love cats in this?
I don't know. You know what? I don't even think it's that I don't think it's either one. I think it was purely utilitarian. They just needed something to, like nothing about this scene makes sense from the perspective of like a reporter or the situation, like April, as we're talking about, April is a good reporter. She would not come into a place that she knows is dangerous and then step onto the platform of the thing that she knows is a matter transporter because Splinter is a genius.
I just don't think that the writers had any idea what a cat was. I mean, call me out on that if you want.
No, I'm not going to call you out on anything because nothing about this episode makes sense. In the restaurant, she has a video camera. When she gets into the warehouse 2 seconds later, she's got a regular camera that she's taking pictures of.
Like a point shoot.
She doesn't take pictures of the control. She takes pictures of the transporter while standing on the platform. And then the cat turns the thing on, and instead of getting scared by the weird lasers that are coming out of it like any normal cat would, it jumps into it. It's all just like coincidental to move the plot forward. None of it's natural.
No, none of it. And then later on we kind of figure out that she really wasn't taking pictures of anything valuable besides the cat.
That's true.
So we return from break. April is coming home and she's being followed by several stray cats. Irma chastises her in the hallway of her apartment building, saying the landlord doesn't allow pets, and apparently this established that Irma and April are neighbors in the same building.
Right?
Convenient.
Just found that out.
We come now to April's descent into madness. Borrowing from the Fly once wasn't enough. April is very clearly going to turn into a cat mutant. Irma goes and puts a dish of milk down to feed the strays, and April's slow mutation into a cat is well underway. She starts making meow sounds and becoming extremely judgmental.
Oh my God.
Which, yeah, that's basically a cat. And then she drops down and drinks from the bowl of milk with the rest of the cats.
So I will totally own up to the fact that I didn't look at earlier episodes to double check this, but did April always have that many cat decorations?
You got to give me a time code here.
In the apartment, starting at like 8:15?
Oh my God, she's got tiger pillows. She's got cat paintings on the wall.
Right. Like, I never noticed that in previous episodes.
No, good catch. I breezed right over that. Wow.
Like, this is one of those, if they were in previous episodes, cool foreshadowing. I'll give it to you. But if they weren't and they are just put in for this episode, screw you.
No, I really think, okay, the scripting in this episode does become extremely sexist, but I honest to God think that it kind of came down to the writer's room with a bunch of dudes on cocaine going like, what animals did ladies like? Cats? Let's do that.
But maybe the audience won't understand that she's slowly turning into a cat, even though all the cats are following her and she has to say meow out of every other word. Let's add in some tiger plush pillows and paintings on the ceiling behind her, the wall behind her.
Just hammer that into our little 5-year-old brains.
Oh boy.
We cut back to the TMNT. They're in their trenchies and they're heading to Woo's. Little slow on the uptake, fellas. April's long gone.
How did it take them this long?
Okay, this is a little moment and that I didn't think I was going to focus on, but I kind of want to. Leo pushes the door open with his foot in a very distinct way at Woo's restaurant. And the camera makes sure to focus on that moment. He doesn't just like grab the handle and open the door. He pushes it open slowly with his foot. I feel like this must be a callback to something, like either another Western or like a Bruce Lee movie or something. In my very quick research, I could not find anything, but it was such a distinct moment. Like they really gave Leo this like cowboy moment. And I feel like that has to represent something. So if anybody's got insight, please chime in.
My best guess, and I will once again admit to not doing my own research on this, but my best guess is it a Humphrey Bogart reference?
Maybe. I mean, that's the closest thing that could easily be the case, since that's such a heavy reference coming up shortly in the episode.
Yeah.
But it could be so many things. Like, it felt very like Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. But I haven't seen that movie in many years, and I do not remember that kind of distinct motion. Not to mention most of the doors in that are, you know,
like the swinging doors that don't go all the way
the
to
swinging
the ground.
partial doors. I don't know what the hell they're called.
Yeah, it's a very deliberate animation choice. It'd be weird if it wasn't a reference to something.
That's all I'm trying to point out. If anybody has insight, please chime in Twitter and Discord and all that jazz. Also, Leonardo is super out of sorts in this one, right? So the restaurant rando calls them, the four turtles in their trench coats, Humphrey Bogus, which, okay, quality burn.
That was good.
But they lean into it really hard, and Leo does a full-on gangster impression and knocks it out of the park.
You hit the nail right on the head, sweetheart.
But then Mikey does his own that just sounds way more like Peter Lorre, and no one's having it.
Yeah, now listen here, you mugs. I'm giving the orders around here, see?
All right, so I don't do Bogart.
But we know Mikey's gangster impression is spot on.
You dirty rat! You killed my brother! You dirty rat! Woo!
Oh, man, not Cagney. This is where the whole episode just becomes us quoting the 1990 movie.
Dude, whenever you and I hit the movie, it's going to be a fucking glorious moment. So anyways, the turtles square up with the patrons who start a food fight, and
My cabbages!
Oh, yeah. There we go. That's the reference I want.
I knew you're an Avatar guy. Magnificent fourth wall break at 9 minutes and 55 seconds. They call it a furious food flinging flight. I can't even say it right. They call it a furious food flinging fight. And then Mikey turns to the camera and says, say that 5 times fast.
We're not going to do it. You could try it at home.
Back at Channel 6, April is about to go on, and she's catting out more than ever. Her pupils have changed shape. Her hair's kind of feathered. She's crawling on all fours, and no one is really calling her out on it.
Yeah.
They're like, this is odd, but you're not weird.
We're back at April at Channel 6, except when we left her, she was at her apartment.
But she went to work. She went to work as
Right.
Cat April.
So Irma and April go all the way from their apartments to their place of employment, with April obviously being a freaking cat. And no one calls her out. There's no conversation about it. Even in this whole scene, I wrote down this note, and it's Irma just like, April obviously acting like a cat, and Irma just wants to know what's going on.
The only thing I'm going to contest this with is just, bless you, Renee Jacobs. Renee Jacobs is the longtime voice of April O'Neil that we all madly fell in love with. And she's notoriously had to play like the straight man in the show, right? Uh-huh. But they're finally giving her room to run, and she is just hamming the shit out of this, and you can tell she's loving it. She's hissing and yowling and just like going full Wicked Witch of the West kind of in some of her vocalizations.
You better go, Irma, now!
Not until you tell me what's going on.
I went to the hideout of this character called Shredder. I was taking pictures of some machine. Meow! When something happened to me. Meow!
It's stupid, but she has so much fun with it that I kind of enjoy it.
Yeah, she's chewing the scenery a lot.
And she's getting subtly nastier as her mental faculties haven't quite changed, but in very cat-like tendencies. She's like, don't worry about me, and then leaps out the window to go crawl down the side of the building to go back to the lab to fix herself.
Yep.
And then Irma says, I don't know if I should call 911 or the animal shelter.
But a huge moment, what Irma has been waiting for.
Oh my God.
She finds the turtle comm.
But, okay, she doesn't know it's a turtle comm. She just starts talking at it.
Yeah, she thinks it's a walkie-talkie.
And then in the window, we get the turtles, and yeah, she's finally made contact.
And there's an animation error there, too, because it's Leo talking, but Raphael's face.
Yep. On that note, I want to say I'm super disappointed in Raphael at this moment. As a Raphael stan, Donatello sets up the joke.
Those kung fu guys turned out to be a bunch of chicken lo mains.
And then Raph says, an accent on the low, of course, referring to the restaurant patrons he just beat the shit out of. Okay. Off the top of my head, they could have hoped for a better fortune. We made chop suey out of those guys. Raph, come on. What a lame joke. So weak.
We expect better from you.
Anyways, Irma gets the boys on the line. None of them know each other. She says April needs help and to meet her at the subway station at 4th and Broadway. I did research. There's no stop there. It's just a Dwayne Reed. And then April has infiltrated Shredder's lab again and then just bodies Bebop and Rocksteady in one shot. And it's kind of great.
Yeah, there we go.
Bebop and Rocksteady are in fact excited that there's another mutant in the room with them. I'm sure they have a little crush on her. Who doesn't? Shredder then quickly deduces that it's April because they can't tell. She's full cat mode at this point, right? She's
Yellow
got cat
jumpsuit.
face, tail, but the yellow jumpsuit is a dead giveaway. He traps her in a drop-down cage that he just had waiting in the rafters because bad guy.
Yep. And it's not the only random cage we will see in this episode.
Yeah, there's a bunch of that, apparently. It's kind of going around. They then, Bebop and Rocksteady try to feed her a mouse, and she goes all classic 80s woman trope and is scared of it, but only to have the Shredder to call this out exactly verbatim. He says,
She's still more female than feline.
And even though she won't eat a rodent, she might help him track one down. Wink.
So there's a couple things here in this scene.
Oh, yeah, there are.
Shredder immediately knows what happened, that a cat and April got stuck in the teleporter together, and that's why she's mutated into a cat person. Your machine isn't supposed to do that, so why are you not surprised? Why?
It happened with Baxter.
Everyone is so calm about this. Yeah, and I mean, yes, true, it did happen with Baxter. That was at least supposed to, kill people? I don't know. Nothing works the way that... Don't put people and animals together ever in this series.
If Shredder's death ray fails, the opposite happens.
He just happens to have a cage in the ceiling. No setup. It just appears out of nowhere. This is where it starts, Brian. I warned you before we started this episode.
Oh, I know.
Shredder quotes, "Get her something to eat. It might calm her down." Oh, fuck you.
Oh, yeah, I grazed right over that, but yeah, you nailed that one. Holy shit.
Shredder quote, "She's still more female than feline." You are such an incel.
I don't really have a response or an argument whatsoever. This is one of the most poorly aged moments in Ninja Turtle history that we have experienced so far.
I mean, I guess in one way it makes you hate Shredder even more.
Fair, but also I kind of hate myself a little bit.
Oh my God, it's such bad dialogue. It is so, it is so stereotypical. It's so, low-key offensive. And it's not, I think the thing that is upsetting me the most about it, and yes, it's upsetting me, is that as a child, this would have blown completely over my head.
Yep. And it did, and we've learned better since then.
Yeah.
Until then, Irma has headed into the subway and finally has her encounter with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's official now. They've met. And we've gone back and forth on this.
It's happening!
Over so many goddamn episodes. But when she meets them, she fills them in on April. And they head back to her apartment to figure out where she's gone. And Irma no thirsty.
Not on the Turtles.
Not now. Not now that she's seen them.
Yeah. I mean, technically she saw them before. What was it, the whole, the pizza episode with the aliens? Well, I can't remember the name of it.
No, she passed out. She fainted. She did the epitome of shitty 1980s female characterization tropes. She fainted at danger.
Right. So what am I thinking of where maybe it was the guy she went on a date on who was freaking out about their kids being green or something.
Oh, Alfonso? Yeah, she didn't see the turtles there too because they stayed in the alleyway the entire time.
All right. Oh, you know what it was? April lied and said the turtles were her relatives, and that scared him off.
Yes.
Now I remember.
But I don't think she made direct eye contact with any of them.
No. Irma definitely didn't,
Yeah.
but he did. That's what I was thinking of.
That's the wildest thing to me that we've gone this far in the series and Irma can't shut up about the turtles and she's never met the turtles. Until now! Meanwhile, Shredder has put a mind control collar on April so that she will help him hunt Splinter in her degraded state.
Just getting all the hits in this episode.
That's some weird sadomasochist, like dom fetish kind of thing going on there.
I love how Shredder's like, hunt down Splinter, and she's like, yes, I will go hunt down Splinter by going to a zoo and breaking out a tiger.
Yeah, why does she go to the zoo? To just recruit a sidekick, I guess? Because, yeah, she just claws a lock, like a regular padlock, because that's how they lock up the zoo. And she's got a tiger free. And, yeah.
Like, her mind is under the control of Shredder, but she still has free will to do with his orders however she would like.
It's all about interpretation.
Sure.
The tiger does get in their way, though. Like, he intercepts them as they're trying to enter her apartment through the fire escape.
Right. But she's not going after the turtles. She's trying to find Splinter.
They don't know that, though.
So why is No, they don't know it, but why does the tiger find them?
Yeah, you got me. She just lets it loose.
Like, they're above ground at April's apartment, which is apparently really close to the warehouse. But
I mean, even if she lives like next door to the Central Park Zoo, like that tiger's got a good 5, 6, 7 minute walk to get to her apartment, and that's if he knows where it's going. So right. I'm overthinking this.
And Splinter's in the sewer.
I'm pretty sure it'd be mauling somebody on Fifth Avenue before it got over to her apartment.
Yeah.
Anyways, we have established that April lives near the zoo. That's an important part. We see Cat April free this tiger, and then when we come back from commercial break after the lingering danger that is Tiger, when the turtles are facing it down, they wonder if it is April. If she's turned completely into a tiger.
I think that's fair. They don't know what's going on. They just know that she started acting like a cat. And so that every time they see something, they see a cat, whether it's a house cat or a tiger, they're like, are you April?
I mean, I guess that kind of explains why Donnie doesn't just full on attack it. Like, he kind of takes a defensive position and tries to distract it while the rest of his brothers try to climb the fire escape. Yeah. But he only does it for like 2 seconds before Mikey yoinks him.
Yeah, well, I mean, he does get like knocked out by the tiger before that.
Yeah, he takes a hit. You're right. While we're at this, is it me or is the animation a little loose on this one again?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, there's some like, I was going to point out that there were some interesting like animation choices with April as she's going through her transformation before she becomes like fully cat-like. But that I was just going to chalk up to like they were having some creative license in the transformation. But like Irma in this scene looks a little bit, there's something off about how she's animated or the lighting on her throughout the episode. I don't know if that's what was standing out to you.
No, it's just kind of an everything felt kind of cheap episode. Like the turtles are chubby and sometimes cross-eyed, and
oh yeah,
it's very rushed hand animation fights kind of thing. Like you can see that there was good ideas on paper as far as the direction goes, but the execution just feels super rushed.
More cartoony, like less defined.
Yeah, I just wanted to observe that.
Yeah, for sure.
So back to the apartment, Irma is waiting to let the turtles inside and ask how'd she get in so easily. Oh, I've got a key.
That's one mystery from previous episodes solved. Irma's always coming into April's apartment because she has a key.
Because she's a neighbor.
Yeah.
The turtles see pictures of April that she took in the lab, noticing the cat in the background, deducing that her molecular mutation is what they're currently dealing with, and they have to reverse that.
Sure.
I don't know why I'm baiting you for answers on this. Raph points out that there's a cat out there acting like April, painting its nails. And honestly, like, I didn't really think about that, but if she's absorbed cat personality, why wouldn't the cat absorb April personality? And that is the better episode here. Just the turtles chasing around a stray cat who's like running around trying to find a story.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, at that point, it's just the Justice League episode where Wonder Woman gets turned into a pig.
Oh, what a great episode.
It is a great episode.
Oh.
Why couldn't we watch that episode instead of this garbage?
Let's pause here. Everybody come back in 23 minutes.
Ain't these tears in my eyes telling you?
No. Splinter is down in the lair, and he's tidying up after that previous Bebop and Rocksteady attack earlier in the morning. He gets approached by a stray cat and reacts more viscerally than any other encounter that he's had with enemies, from Shredder, Bebop, Rocksteady, Krang, everybody. He is far more scared about this stray cat. And I just say, oh yeah, right. He's a rat.
Right? Can we get... I'm going to take a screenshot of this and put it on our Discord, but 16 minutes and 5 seconds just when Splinter is reacting to, like, get out of here, cat. Go away. Out of here. I think the only thing I've enjoyed about this episode is everybody reacting to the cat.
That's the one creature I truly fear.
All right, we're back up on the street. April is chumming around with the tiger and is still en route to Splinter. Why is she talking like Snake or Scorpion from Mortal Kombat?
Dude.
Everything's got a elongated S. So April is just worried about, getting the story, I guess.
I guess hissing? Is that what that's supposed to be?
Yeah, that just makes you evil, right?
Right, yeah.
Shredder is currently on the phone with Krang. He needs more resources as usual. Krang admonishes him about needing a repairman and then reestablishes that he is planning to return with the Technodrome. So there's that. Now we actually have a long game.
Yeah, just at least we know what the matter teleporter is for, I guess?
I guess, but we've touched on this the last 4 episodes. Krang is just sitting pretty in Dimension X and cool with everything. So he doesn't really need to come back and conquer Earth.
No, it's just a warlord. Just wants, that's just what he wants.
He just wants to sit on his throne, take a shower once in a while. Okay, we're back in the lair and Splinter is meditating to rid himself of his fear of cats. Then a fucking tiger shows up.
Serves you right. That's what you get for trying to get over your fears.
And then a fucking werecat, April, shows up. And I just want to ask, how the fuck did they get a tiger in the sewer?
Dude, I don't know. It jumped down the manhole, I guess.
Those are usually a 20-foot drop. That would probably break its legs.
I mean, I don't know what you want. Maybe April rode down the telephone elevator with it.
What I want is for the writers of the show, Richard Merwin included, to get a better knowledge of the infrastructure of the sublevels of New York City.
Or at least, be consistent with your own interpretation of it. Here's another thing where the turtles are in the alleyway and they're looking for, I guess they're looking for cats. That they're looking for the cat that they found in April's photos because they think that's April now.
Yes.
And Raph says it's going to be impossible to find a stray cat in, a specific stray cat in New York City, and then they immediately find it.
Yeah, there isn't even a breath. He cites millions of stray cats, and then meow,
I'm here.
And yeah, they also think that this is April.
Get our first foreshadowing of future TMNT animated series because Donnie says she always liked me best.
Oh, there's a tie. I missed that on first pass. You're right, though. There's another animation error here, too. We got Raph's voice coming out of Michelangelo.
Yeah.
When after Don says that I was always her favorite, Raph/Mikey says, it's those anchovy pizzas you eat. Because, yeah, Cat would love fish pizza.
Pizza time!
So in my TMNT pizza bracket, Mikey is out and Donatello's out because they like pineapple and anchovies, respectively.
Yeah, I can't. I don't want to get involved in the pineapple pizza argument, but I will go on record saying anchovies is a bad choice.
I have tried both. Fuck them both. The Turtles get a distress call from Splinter on the Turtle comms. Irma thinks that the name Splinter sounds kind of cute.
Here we go.
Thirst reinvigorated.
Our listeners are going to have a count of how many times I said, here we go in this episode, because it's about all I can process.
Every aspect of it is just like, sure, why not?
Yeah.
We're back in the lair. April and the tiger have Splinter cornered. She confesses to working for Shredder for the first time, and then Splinter tries to reason with her by reminding her she's an ally, she's their friend, and she is struggling through this. Okay. In the sense of the plot of this, okay, it works, but none of the other mutants have mental discrepancies, right? Bebop and Rocksteady don't question their allegiance with the gang. The Turtles just grow up and they don't think they're human. They're just fucking turtles. Like, why is April, her mind going down like a weird rabbit hole?
Well, this is the mind control collar.
Was it though? All Shredder said was that it locked her in.
Yeah, I mean, that was my interpretation of it. Maybe I'm being too generous, but I just assumed that, okay, she's got the mind control collar on, Splinter's trying to appeal through it, or past it, and she's having a hard time. Because later on, but in mere moments when the Turtles show up and you try and appeal to her again, you see the collar light up, and then she holds her head and reacts to it, and then that puts her back into evil April mode.
Gotcha. Okay. That helps me a little bit.
I mean, it's not a good reason, but it's a reason.
It's a functional reason in a kid's show.
Yeah, exactly.
We get a great Splinter face at 18 minutes and 54 seconds because he thinks he's going to die at the hand of April. Just what a great screenshot to capture. I highly recommend everyone go look at that.
Oh, man.
Then the TMNT show up in the nick of time to cut the collar and save Splinter. Of course.
I love that there's a brief moment here where the other turtles are like, Leo, what are you doing? As he draws a sword and approaches April with it. They're all worried he's just gonna kill her.
Is he gonna cut her head off?
Well, it's been fun, April.
Problem solved.
But no, he cuts the collar off very easily without damaging April at all.
That being said, they still got a tiger to deal with.
And that's when we get random cage number 2.
Yeah, when Mikey pulls out a wind-up toy mouse out of his pocket and lets it go to distract the tiger, who chases it into the cage that the Turtles just have.
Yep.
Why do they have a cage?
And it's a kennel, too.
I mean, it's very, the end result is very adorable. It's super cute. And the cage is handy, and I'm glad they have it. But why?
And I mean, at least they say that they're going to notify the zoo, so they're not just the proud owners of a tiger now.
What if the Turtles kept some of their trophies in the lair like Batman does in the Batcave? If the Turtles had their own version of the giant penny and T-Rex. What would that be?
I mean, in the movies they do. At least in the CGI, was it 2007 movie? There's
a few landmark kind of things. You got the TCRI canister, you got Shredder's helmet.
The Time Scepter.
Yeah, the Time Scepter. But what else would they have? They just have a mound of rat carcasses?
I mean, if it were this show, it would be a mouser, some foot soldier, a robot body.
Like a hand from a foot soldier, like the hand from Terminator 2?
Yeah, exactly. The neutrino car or the remnants of the one that they destroyed.
Like the license plate from the car.
Yeah, exactly.
Let us know what would be in your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles trophy room. Hit us on Twitter or Discord.
Let's kick shell!
Okay, so Shredder is super pissed that he lost control of April when Leo cut the collar off. Bebop has April's leftover mouse from lunch that she refused to eat. It bites him and escapes and then runs onto the transmat, and then Rocksteady bashes the transmat with his little wooden training pirate sword thing, and it causes it to explode.
Yep, the whole warehouse blows up.
Because he hit it with a piece of wood.
Yep.
We get a wide environment shot showing that the Shredder did in fact work in a shitty Navy Yard warehouse all through this episode. Hid it from us ostensibly. Congratulations, sir.
The thing that gets me about this whole thing is that the building blows up. They run out to the dock to escape, and it crossfades to the sewer with Shredder screaming, "I'll get you, Turtles, if it's the last thing I do." But they didn't do that.
Yep.
You did. Like, they had nothing to do with your hideout getting blown up.
Shredder is really the ends to his own means here.
Yeah.
But Irma infiltrates the sewer layer now because she's just bros. She's officially in the Pantheon. She wants to bang Splinter. Oh no, he's a rat.
Never mind.
No more pussy in this episode. Credits.
A couple more things about this scene, because I'm going to call it all out. We cut back to the lair. April's back to normal.
With the collar gone, yeah, I guess.
They don't even say why. The thing got destroyed, so they couldn't use the teleporter to change her back, so she's just fine, I guess. Cool.
There was a loose allusion earlier that Shredder stated before slapping the collar on her that was like, this won't last forever. This is a temporary transformation. We're going to lock her into it.
Okay, cool. I missed that.
It's super loose.
And then there's another just an amazing line here at the end before Irma appears, and that's the Turtles asking April, what was it like being a cat? And she's really upset because it ruined her nails crawling around on the floor. And Raph says,
"Yet she's back to being a woman, all right."
Oh,
yo, fuck this episode.
I just want to know if there was a single other secondary X chromosome in that writer's room at all. At all.
Like, I can deal with thirsty Irma. That's a fun joke that, like, running gag that the series has, and I'm glad to see her back.
Being horny is universal.
Yes, exactly. No problems with that. But this is the first time I think that, like, April got done real dirty in this episode.
Everybody got done dirty in this episode. This is straight up not a great episode. Yeah. It's not trash. I'm not going to throw it to the wolves, but I'm going to tell you right now, I ain't giving this a cowbunga.
Oh, no.
As of right now, I'm giving this our second tier, the C grade, our Bossa Nova.
Was it Chevy Nova below that?
Chevy Nova is the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, it's a Chevy Nova for me.
Really?
Yeah, it's real bad.
Wait, no. Hold on. It's Bossa Nova, Chevy Nova, excellent cowabunga.
Okay.
So Bossa Nova is the bottom of the tier.
Yes, it is a Bossa Nova for me.
I wanted to give it a Chevy Nova, but I might chase you on that one.
No apologies. I thought this was real bad.
This was a throwaway. There was absolutely no reason for this to exist outside of the spectacle that April becomes a mutant.
Yeah. It was filler. It was in poor taste in a lot of places. Yeah. It certainly didn't age well, and I would not recommend anybody watching this particular episode, which sucks because the idea of April being mutated is a cool idea, and it deserved a lot better than what it got.
I mean, I think the only thing that I call celebratory in this is that we are at the end of 2 seasons already of you and I doing this podcast, recounting the series, and by and large, quality over quantity.
Oh, yeah.
But this is really, really a particularly bad episode of this series.
Yeah.
What do we have a moral takeaway as we sit here as 36-year-olds looking back on this thing from our childhood? The only thing I could think of that is of value to learn from this is at the end of the day, your friends are your anchor, and that worked in 2 ways, both that the turtles stayed true and resilient and protective of April, and then the only reason April came back from the brink is because she remembered her surrogate family. I think that's the positive takeaway.
Yeah, I will agree with that. I think it loses a little bit of... I think it loses some points because they pretty much already did that. There was the whole... it was the Pizza Monsters episode, wasn't it? No, wait, which one was it? Where they had the machine that scrambled the turtles' brains and they started fighting each other, and April was the one who helped like get them back because it's the one where Splinter becomes a human again. That one.
Yeah.
Where April is their anchor and is able to get them to like overcome it by thinking about their father and that he wouldn't want to see them this way. So it's like, I don't know, it's sort of like rehashed from another episode.
Fair. I mean, it's not the most unique idea, but it's still kind of effectively conveyed in this, even through all the mess.
Yeah. I think, like, the moral doesn't... Yeah, I can agree with you on that. What bothers me the most, besides what I've already said, and I don't want to really, like, harp on that, is that I felt like out of all the episodes we've seen so far, this is the most inconsistent.
In all fronts, bad animation, bad pacing, bad story, bad characterization. Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah. There's like no, like the timeline is all wonky. Nothing really makes any sense. Things just happen to happen, not because they have like any real reason for them to happen. Like it's just everything about it is so awkward and off, and it's so surprising based on pretty much every other episode.
Pure filler, plain and simple. They needed to meet a quota before the end of the series. That being said, next week we are coming up on the finale of season 2 of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1987. We'll be back with the return of the Technodrome, as foreshadowed in this episode. The only piece of valuable information that came out of this episode.
For real.
But until then, we really enjoy you being along on the journey with us for this show. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies. Until then, we're going to leave you with your weekly pizza affirmation, which is, Bill Keane once said, "Yesterday's is cold. Tomorrow's is a mystery. Today is a gift of Papa John's," which is why we call it the present. See you next week, everybody. Cowabunga.
Cowabunga.
Did that one get you?
That got me. Why Papa John's?
Because the line is God.
Duderonomy is produced by Brian Van Gelder and me, Dan Spitaleri. Brian edits and mixes the show and also designed our show art. Our theme music is composed by Mario Sello Nuñez. You can hear more of his music on Spotify, which we've linked to in the show notes. Find us on Twitter at Duderonomy_TMNT and send email to deuteronomy.tmnt@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Cowabunga!
Get us something to eat. It may calm her down.